I saw her on a TV show, and I had never seen her before, and I said, that's it. I said, whoever she is, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take a chance. Times have changed. What does it look like today? And then what you do is you run the risk of maybe offending some journalists if you try to tell a story. I can't do this forever. I've been doing it since I was 21. As you move into your 80s, you say, hey, that's enough. That's enough.
Behind those piercing blue eyes and golden features lived Hollywood's most demanding perfectionist. Robert Redford could have lived forever on his looks and charm. Instead, he chose something harder. He chose to matter. For 6 decades, Redford has been the industry's conscience wrapped in matinee idol packaging. The man who proved you could be beautiful and brilliant, commercial and challenging, famous and uncompromising.
And I was very happy to work with Barbara. I love working with Barbara. Everybody warned me before we went into it.
While others settled for the surface, he dug deeper. While others chased easy victories, he built something lasting. But here's what the headlines never captured. Redford has always been a collector, not of awards or accolades, but of moments when craft transcended celebrity. I realized that there was something still unfulfilled, and that was being able to tell the story completely my way. When performance became revelation, he shared scenes with legends and newcomers, icons and unknowns. But only a select few ever earned his complete creative trust. Redford doesn't hand out respect like autographs. His admiration is surgical, specific, earned through years of observation and collaboration. These aren't his drinking buddies or publicity partners. These are the artists who challenged him to abandon comfort and chase excellence.
I love comedy, and I did comedy in the theater, but I also did drama. And I think if you're an actor, if you're a serious actor, you look at both comedy and drama in the same light.
He's directed Oscar winners and discovered future stars. But as an actor, he's been transformed by encounters with performers who refuse to settle for anything less than transcendent. Here are the 6 actors Robert Redford treasures most. The ones who taught him that stardom means nothing if you forget how to shine.
All right, listen, I want to comment about that Premier appointment. Right away, dude. Right away.
6. Sidney Poitier. Robert Redford never worked directly with Sidney Poitier, but that didn't matter. Some influences transcend collaboration. They exist in observation, admiration, and the quiet understanding that you're witnessing greatness redefine itself. Poitier arrived in Hollywood when the system had no place for him. Instead of accepting limitations, he created his own category. He didn't just break barriers, he demolished them with such grace and intelligence that even his enemies had to respect the wreckage. Redford watched from a distance as Poitier navigated impossible choices with impossible dignity. Every role carried the weight of representation. Every performance had to be flawless because failure meant more than a bad review. It meant confirming prejudices that had been waiting for him to stumble. What Redford admired wasn't just Poitier's talent. It was his refusal to compromise his principles for acceptance. He could have played safe, grateful, and non-threatening. Instead, he chose characters with backbone, intelligence, and moral complexity. He forced audiences to confront their assumptions about who deserved to be the hero. Behind the camera, Poitier's influence shaped Redford's directorial vision. When casting his own films, Redford looked for that same combination of talent and integrity. Actors who understood that every frame was an opportunity to change minds, not just entertain them. Their mutual respect existed in industry circles and award ceremonies. 2 professionals who understood that success meant nothing if it came at the cost of your soul. Poitier showed Redford that true stardom wasn't about being liked. It was about being undeniable. In a business built on compromise, Sidney Poitier never bent. For Redford, that kind of unshakable principle became the gold standard. 5. Brad Pitt. When Robert Redford cast Brad Pitt in A River Runs Through It, Hollywood saw nepotism disguised as opportunity, a director giving the pretty boy a break. What Redford saw was something else entirely, a young actor hungry enough to earn what his looks might have given him for free. Pitt arrived on set carrying the burden every beautiful actor knows, the assumption that appearance equals limitation, that charm compensates for craft. Redford recognized the struggle because he'd lived it. The constant need to prove substance existed beneath the surface. During those Montana shoots, Redford watched Pitt approach fly fishing like he approached acting, with obsessive dedication to authenticity, hours of practice until muscle memory replaced conscious thought. No shortcuts, no substitutes, just relentless pursuit of truth in every gesture. What impressed Redford wasn't Pitt's natural ability. It was his willingness to be uncomfortable, to look foolish while learning, to ask questions that revealed his inexperience rather than fake knowledge he didn't possess. That kind of vulnerable ambition reminded Redford why he'd fallen in love with filmmaking. Their relationship evolved beyond mentor and student. Pitt proved that the next generation could carry forward the tradition of substance over spectacle. He chose projects that challenged rather than celebrated him, roles that demanded transformation rather than confirmation. Redford has said watching Pitt's career unfold felt like witnessing his own journey reflected through a different lens. The same struggles with perception, the same determination to be taken seriously, the same refusal to settle for pretty when powerful was possible. In Pitt, Redford found validation that beauty and depth weren't enemies. They were allies waiting for someone brave enough to unite them. 4. Jane Fonda. When Robert Redford first encountered Jane Fonda on the set of Barefoot in the Park, he expected Hollywood royalty to be an actress. What he discovered was a force of nature disguised as a leading lady. Fonda brought something Redford had never experienced before: intelligence that burned through every scene. She didn't just memorize lines, she dissected them, questioned them, made them mean something beyond what was written on the page. Working with her felt like intellectual combat disguised as romantic comedy, but it was their shared evolution that cemented Redford's respect. While he was learning to balance stardom with substance, Fonda was discovering that fame could be weaponized for change. She showed him that actors didn't have to choose between entertainment and enlightenment. They could demand both. Fonda's fearless commitment to causes larger than herself challenged Redford's own relationship with celebrity. She used her platform to speak uncomfortable truths while he was still learning how to use his. Her willingness to risk everything for principle made his own careful choices feel almost cowardly. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable. Off-screen, their mutual respect grew from shared understanding. Both were children of complex fathers. Both struggled with public perception versus private reality. Both refused to let beauty become a creative prison. What Redford treasures most about Fonda isn't her activism or talent alone. It's her refusal to apologize for being complicated. She taught him that audiences could handle complexity if you had the courage to serve it to them. In a business that preferred women simple and men strong, Jane Fonda insisted on being both brilliant and beautiful. For Redford, that combination became irresistible. 3. Dustin Hoffman. When Robert Redford walked onto the set of All the President's Men, he knew he was entering Dustin Hoffman's laboratory. This wasn't just another movie. This was an obsession disguised as journalism, and Hoffman was the mad scientist running the experiment. Hoffman operated on a frequency that made Redford recalibrate everything he thought he knew about preparation. While Redford studied scripts, Hoffman became Carl Bernstein. He didn't just research the character, he absorbed him. I talked like him, moved like him, thought like him until the line between actor and subject disappeared completely. Their contrasting approaches created perfect creative tension. Redford's instinctive ease versus Hoffman's methodical intensity. Golden boy meets grinding perfectionist. It should have been a disaster. Instead, it became alchemy. What fascinated Redford wasn't Hoffman's technique. It was his relentless pursuit of microscopic truth. Hoffman would stop mid-scene if something felt even slightly false. He'd dissect moments until he found what was real, then build everything else around that foundation. That kind of obsessive honesty was both maddening and inspiring. Behind the cameras, Hoffman challenged every assumption Redford had about star behavior. No ego trips, no prima donna demands, just pure, uncompromising dedication to the work. He made Redford realize that real professionalism meant caring more about the story than your own comfort. Their collaboration taught Redford that great acting wasn't about natural talent or charisma. It was about willingness to excavate truth from fiction. no matter how deep you had to dig. Hoffman showed him that being difficult in service of excellence wasn't selfishness. It was my responsibility. For Redford, working with Hoffman felt like discovering a new language for expressing what mattered most. 2. Meryl Streep. When Robert Redford directed Meryl Streep in Out of Africa, he thought he understood what preparation meant. Then he watched her disappear into Karen Blixen and realized he'd been playing in the shallow end of the pool his entire career. Streep didn't just learn a Danish accent. She became Danish, studied Blixen's letters, photographs, personal belongings, until she could think in the character's voice. Redford would arrive on set to find not Meryl Streep in costume, but Karen Blixen brought back from the dead. The transformation was so complete it was almost supernatural. What struck Redford wasn't just her technical mastery, it was her fearless vulnerability. Streep stripped away every defense, every vanity, every safe choice that might protect her from looking foolish. She served the story with surgical precision, no matter the personal cost. Behind the camera, Redford learned to direct by stepping back. Streep didn't need instruction, she needed space to create miracles. He'd set up shots and watch her find emotional truth in places he'd never thought to look. Directing her felt less like guidance and more like witness protection for genius. Their collaboration changed how Redford approached every project afterward. He started seeking actors who brought that same level of commitment, people who understood that great performances required complete surrender to something larger than yourself. Streep taught Redford that acting wasn't about personality or charm, it was about courage, the willingness to excavate your own soul and serve whatever the story demanded. She showed him that real artistry meant disappearing so completely that only truth remained. For Redford, working with Streep felt like discovering what cinema could accomplish when fear was no longer part of the equation. 1. Paul Newman. Some partnerships are born from necessity, others from convenience. But when Robert Redford met Paul Newman, something rarer happened. Two stars discovered they burned brighter together than apart. Their connection transcended the obvious. Yes, they were both beautiful men in a beautiful business, but underneath the magazine covers lived something more substantial. Newman showed Redford that stardom was a tool, not a destination. That fame could be wielded with purpose or wasted on ego. From Butch Cassidy to The Sting, their collaboration felt effortless because both men checked their egos at the door. Newman could have demanded top billing, bigger trailers, more screen time. Instead, he focused on making every scene better. He taught Redford that generosity wasn't weakness. It was strength disguised as kindness. Beyond the cameras, Newman became Redford's compass for navigating fame without losing direction. He showed him how to use celebrity for causes that mattered, how to age gracefully in a youth-obsessed industry, how to build something lasting while everyone else chased momentary glory. Their friendship outlasted their professional partnership because it was built on mutual respect rather than mutual need. Newman didn't just teach Redford how to act. He taught him how to be a man worth admiring. For Redford, Newman was the gold standard, the proof that you could be a star and still have a soul. Robert Redford built a career on perfect surfaces, hiding deeper truths. These 6 actors taught him that the most beautiful performances come from the ugliest honesty. In Hollywood's Hall of Mirrors, they reflected something real. That's why he never forgot them.